The reviews are out for Suicide Squad. Mixed reviews at best. I do want to pull up the Rotten Tomatoes score just to see where it's currently sitting at. Oh, 26%. That is not good. Wow. Last I heard, it was in the 30s. So yeah, the Suicide Squad came out, or it is coming out. I think it may have come out today, but it hasn't been doing, as we've just seen, very well with the reviews. I've heard a lot of people compare it to DC's take on a Guardians of the Galaxy style movie, and that's kind of how the later trailers struck me, like they would just basically take, pop music or different music tracks and just put it to different parts of the trailer, very Guardians of the Galaxy style like, but the movie doesn't really fit that. I've heard that the plot is a mess. The most interesting part of it is the characters. Is his name Jared Leto that plays the Joker?
I think so.
Yeah, Jared Leto. He plays a Joker, and he's like not in the movie that much. And it'd be interesting to see his take on the character. That's the only part of the movie really that interests me. Speaking of Joker, this is the first film representation of Harley Quinn. I love Harley Quinn. I've ever since Batman the Animated Series. Someone mentioned in chat that there's actually a lawsuit against Rotten Tomatoes, like trying to get it banned or change their review scores. It's ridiculous.
I saw that.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. Because they're just an aggregate website. They don't do these reviews themselves. They just gather them all together and give you the mean score out of 100%. Harley Quinn, I like the character. I like what I've seen of her. She started on the animated series, and she's like the original character that they came up with, and they have since incorporated her into the comics. And unfortunately, I don't know. I don't necessarily like this version that they've done with Harley Quinn, where they just basically, I hate to say it, but they just basically turned her into a sex object. From everything I've seen in the trailers, they just give her really short shorts, if you can call them shorts, really tight t-shirt, and we'll give her a baseball bat, throw some things in her hair, makeup that doesn't make sense. Oh, and that's Harley Quinn. That's not Harley Quinn as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, I'm not happy that this is our first film representation of that character. Will Smith as Deadshot. That's a casting decision that I wouldn't necessarily have made, but I've actually heard that he's pretty good in the role. That one guy that I thought was Killer Croc actually is Killer Croc, but he's way too small to be Killer Croc. Yeah, Killer Croc's in the movie too. He's too small. It's the Apocalypse, X-Men Apocalypse problem all over again. Let's see. They have Captain Boomerang in there. That's pretty good. That's a not very well-known DC villain if you're just watching the movies. But yeah, this is not going well for Warner Brothers. It seems like at best their movies are getting mixed reviews, and even the positive reviews aren't really all that positive. Like, they'll have a lot of negative things to say, but then they'll give them like a 3 out of 5 stars or something like that. So I kind of have this feeling that if this movie didn't do too well, or if it doesn't do well, I don't have a whole lot of faith that they're going to turn things around with Justice League. I'll get into what I'm going to say later, but I wanted to get your take on it.
From what I've seen about Suicide Squad, I've heard that the first part of the movie was really good. A lot of people liked it,
Yeah.
and from what I've seen, just the commercials and trailers, it looked really good. It looked like it was going to be its own type of movie. Um, I can kind of see what people mean by like a Guardians of Galaxy type
Comparison.
Deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that, but making it its own like DC version. And then I've heard that when it gets to the second part of the movie, it's kind of like generic action movie-ish.
Yeah.
Like things start getting predictable, which to hear other reviewers say that doesn't make me feel very good about it because movies are, especially superhero movies, are fairly hard for me to watch just because movies in general are kind of difficult for me to watch now just because I don't want to say this as like a proud thing. I've seen too many movies and too many shows to know like when something is going to happen in like a certain like way, and just like different genres of movies have become predictable for me just in general, which is why when a superhero movie comes out, all of my friends get super excited about it. My family is like, "Oh, we should go see that when it comes out." I was like, I don't know. It's like I can't go into those movies anymore, like with this off, like what's gonna happen? Because it's like every other superhero movie. It's not their fault. They have to follow that because that's just how superhero movies work, and things are just predictable at certain points, which you can't help, or you can, but then you can argue that, oh, well, they want to be different, so they're gonna fix that.
Yeah.
But things have, was really hoping that it wasn't going to be predictable, seeing as how they were going to make villains be heroes. Maybe like I don't know, but just to have like you don't see that very much in movies of being like predictable. But when you do, that's kind of like a red flag for me. Is like, oh, if other people can see it, then I don't know how good it's gonna be. Which really sucks because I really wanted to see it just because I I like the way the characters were cast. I like the different villains that they chose. I I understand what you mean by they kind of like overly sexualized Harley Quinn. Um, I feel like they modernized her a little bit instead of
I'm not saying you have to give her the red and black jumpsuit.
yeah. And I'm not saying that this is okay. Like there are certain you don't have to over sexualize someone in a movie based on their character. Like Harley Quinn in her nature really isn't like super
She's not
sexualized.
visually sexy, but
No.
her attitude at times can be.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like they missed the point of the character with this, version of her. What I was going to say though was it just seems like Warner Brothers / DC, they're really trying to rush this cinematic universe business. Like we've had Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, now Suicide Squad, and then we're gonna have Wonder Woman before the Justice League movie. And so that's 4 movies building up to Justice League. And I actually had Batman v Superman spoiled for me. I haven't seen the movie, but apparently Superman's dead at the end of the movie.
Supposedly.
So how's that going to work out for a Justice League movie?
He's only one of the 3 founders of the Justice League.
Right. It's Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman.
Yeah. Anyone who the best version of the Justice League that I know of is the animated cartoon from like the early 2000 area.
Yeah, where you got Flash, Green Lantern, maybe Martian Manhunter.
Martian Manhunter for me is always like he's in the Justice League. If they don't have Martian Manhunter in there, I will personally be sad. I think it's I think it's interesting throwing Cyborg in there
Yeah, he's an interesting pick.
because from what I've known of the just like even like the animated series Justice League Unlimited, I don't think I ever saw Cyborg in there, which
He may have had one episode.
maybe they I don't know. Whenever I see like Robin and I've seen Robin and Cyborg more than like any of the other three from like Teen Titans, but whenever I see those characters, I instantly go to Teen Titans. And Teen
Yeah,
Titans, they're all teenage-ish.
it's
They're
it.
around that area.
Yeah, it's kind of like having Beast Boy
Yeah,
be in the Justice League movie. It's not a bad choice. It's just a confusing one.
yeah.
So, but yeah, and and then we've also got a solo Batman movie that's going to happen at some point. Which, at this point, that's the most interesting one I'd like to go see. I I think they're rushing things,
They're trying to compete with Marvel because
and you can't at this point. You have to start where Marvel started back 8 years ago,
yeah,
where you have like 6 movies, and then you have your big ensemble one. Batman v Superman basically was an ensemble movie. It's basically like having Iron Man, and then your next movie being Avengers. It wouldn't have the same amount of impact.
no,
So,
which is going to be really sad for me if Justice League gets ruined because that was one of the biggest parts of my childhood. It's just like watching that TV show,
mhm.
which sounds, you could say it sounds sad. That was the best part of my childhood is watching Justice League. And that's honestly like the pinnacle of where superhero everything was just amazing for me, was just watching that show. And I don't have high hopes for the movie. And honestly, Wonder Woman, I saw the trailer for it.
Not interested.
No, that whole slow motion thing that they were like trying to make look really epic because Wonder Woman's fast. I was just like, no, like there's it's just a trailer, so I don't want to give it too much bad feedback, but just
Well,
didn't look good.
if Warner Brothers is listening, hopefully they've gotten some. I mean, we're not the only ones saying this, but they're trying to rush movies. They're trying to give us movies that we may not necessarily want, or versions of characters that no one really wants. So just listen to the fans of these characters. We don't really care for the direction that things are moving in.